Today we will be solving one-step equations once more, but this time instead of decimals we're dealing with fractions. So let's take a look at our first problem here. So again, opposite operations is how to solve an equation. So we're undoing what is being done to x. See, 3/8 is being added to x because it's a positive 3/8. There's no sign in front, so I treat it as positive. So I'm going to undo that by taking 3/8 away from both sides. So now I'm taking 3/8 away from a negative number. So whenever I take away from a negative, I'm going further in the negative direction. So that means I'm going to add the two numbers together. But I first need to come up with a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this 1 2/3, or negative 1 2/3, by 8/8. 3/8 I'm going to multiply by 3/3. And I go ahead and multiply straight across, and here are my new numbers. Negative 1 16/24. And then over here I've got the minus 9/24. So again, I said I was adding the two numbers, and that's what I'll do because they are the same sign. And when I go ahead and do that, I end up with a negative 1 25/24. Well, 25/24 is an improper fraction, so we got to divide 24 into 25. It goes one time, so that 1 is going to be added to this negative 1, so it means I have negative 2 and 1/24. Looking at our next problem, I've got, again, to undo the equation. I'm going to do that by subtracting the 5/8 from both sides. So when I do that, the difference here on this problem is that I have a positive number I'm subtracting by another positive number. So I actually have to do some subtraction. But first I need to come up with that common denominator. So looking at these two numbers, 6 and 8, looking at the factors, see what they are made up of. And you see how the 8 needs or has a 4 that the 6 does not. So that's what I need to multiply the 6 by, is 4/4. Where the 6 has a 3, but the 8 does not, so it needs a 3/3. So I'm multiplying straight across. And now I've got 4/24, and I'm taking away 15/24. So when I'm taking away more than what I have, the answer is negative. So that's what I have here, negative 11/24. Look at our next one. Here we have some multiplication going on. Negative 7/10 times by x. So what that means is I need to multiply by the reciprocal. And that's how you're going to solve a problem where we've got a coefficient, which is a number that's in front of a variable. You're going to multiply by that reciprocal, and what it'll do is the 10s will cancel and the 7s will cancel, and the negative signs cancel, leaving me just with x. But what I do to one side, I always have to do the same to the other. So we're going to multiply by negative 10/7 on the right hand side and do some cross canceling. See, 14 and 7 have a common factor of 7, so we can reduce that. So do 10 and 25, but not 7 this time. They both have a 5, so we'll divide by 5, and that's what we have now. So x equals negative 4/5. The negative 4 by multiplying 2 times negative 2, 5 by 5 times 1. That is our answer. Moving on to the next one, whenever you see this situation where we've got a minus negative, change that to plus positive right away. Whenever we're subtracting, we can always add the opposite. Add the opposite means switch the sign of that next number. And that shows me that I need to subtract the 8/15 from both sides. So I need to come up with that common denominator, quite similar to how I did the number 2, and I look at the common factors. I see 10 and 15 both have a 5, but the 10 doesn't have the 3 like 15 has, and the 15 doesn't have the 2 like 10 has. So that's what I multiplied by, and that'll come up with that common denominator. So now I have 9/30, and I'm going to take away 16/30. So when I do that subtraction, that leaves me 16 minus 9 gives me 7/30. And that is a negative because I have more negatives than positives. So negative 7/30 is our answer there for x. Looking at our next one, here we have another situation where we've got a number in front of a variable which represents multiplication. So that's what we'll do. We'll multiply by the reciprocal. That will cancel out the denominators and the numerators. And so do the same thing on this side. So I'm multiplying this by 27 that real quick. 27 over, and then I'm going to put the 14 down here, and the negative sign in there somewhere, so you can see the cross-canceling that goes on. And so you see how the 14 and 7 have that common factor again, and 9 does go into 27 3 times. So we go ahead and multiply across. So I have negative 3 and negative 1 make 3, and then I have the 2 times the 1 makes 2. So x equals 3 halves, and so let's go ahead and change that to a mixed number, 1 and 1 over 2. I got that by dividing 2 into 3, which went 1 time, and there was 1 left over, so 1 over 2. And the next problem here, we've got negative 3/4 plus x. I'm doing an opposite operation again, so opposite of minus is plus. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add 3/4 to the 5/6, but got to come up with that common denominator. So taking the 6, taking the 4, looking at those factors, we've got 2 and 3 make 6, 2 and 2 make 4. So the 6 doesn't have that extra 2, so that's what I'm going to multiply it by. Where the 4 doesn't have that 3, so that's what I'm multiplying it by. And so now I'm ready to go ahead and multiply across. I've got 10/12, and we are adding 9/12. That gives me a total of 19/12. And then I just do the division. So again, I divide 12 into 19, goes 1 time. And so that's where the 1 will come from, the whole number 1. Subtract, and I've got 7 left over. That's why it's 7 over 12. That is my answer. So those are the types of problems you're going to see on tonight's homework. Good luck.